Let's turn on OBS and talk a little bit. You're gonna want to talk about this because if you're a Star Wars fan, it's just I don't know what to tell you. Like I have so many friends that are just they gave up on Star Wars. It sucks. Growing up, I remember I'm pretty much the prequel era, and I don't think they got love until later on. People now kind of like the prequels more. Clone Wars they like a lot. It's spun out with the cartoons. Revenge of the Sith gets looked at a little bit better now. I don't know. It's just a different vibe, I guess. And of course, we have the original ones that were probably like my dad's time. But then we had this new time with we were gonna get Rey and Finn, and there was all kinds of different stories, all kinds. And this is Modern Mythos talks about this, and he's go follow him and stuff. I'm just commenting lately on people's posts I see. There's a lot of different variables that were gonna go down, and it sucks because there could have been so many better stories, and I feel like even if you go through the original, or the ones that came out, if you went through the ones that came out, 7, 8, 9, and you let someone like tweak through them and switch things around and give things different endings and different characters, you could keep like almost the same plot, I feel, but just clean it up and it might work. But there's a whole different idea, especially like I've heard different things about 7 and 8, but this is the one he talks about 9, and it's pretty interesting to hear what they're gonna do. So it's kind of like Rey returns back, and she's kind of like when Luke comes back and returns the Jedi in a way.
Did you know that Star Wars Episode 9 was almost a completely different movie? Before we got the abomination of Rise of Skywalker, director Colin Trevorrow was tapped to direct this movie. And this isn't just rumors, we have the original script, it's over 100 pages long, and we have over 30 pieces of original concept art for his film. So welcome to Learning the Lore, Star Wars Episode 9, Duel of the Fates, Part 1. The story starts here. In this version of the movie, the First Order doesn't just control the galaxy, they've cut off all communication. Entire systems and planets are being isolated. The film opens on Kuat, one of the largest shipbuilding and fuel operations in the galaxy. The First Order is trying to build a brand new fleet here. Poe, Finn, and Rose infiltrate it disguised as workers, and they're moving through these checkpoints that are just filled with civilians that are being forced into labor. They have the classic rebellion plan: destroy the power source, trigger a chain reaction to cripple the fleet with an explosion. But
that kind of gets tiring, that always happening with the whole, we just need to go blow up one thing and it saves everybody. I feel like that could have been better, but this story so far, from what I heard of this and what I was watching a couple other videos and read about, a lot of people go to number 9 for a lot of it, just because that one, I don't know if the other one's leaked, but I know this script leaked and came out. I was watching other videos, and I really think handing it off to J.J. Abrams was a bad idea. I like J.J. Abrams, but I like him in doses. I don't know. I want to overhype him. I think he's overhyped. I do. I think he's okay. He's in the middle. He's not bad. He's not great. I think he's a decent director, but I just think it shouldn't have been under his helm. I don't know. If anyone watches this, you guys can tell me what you thought about J.J. Abrams doing it. But I think someone else should have had a better vision. And it was all cluster. From everything I was watching, it was a clusterfuck. It was a mess. The studios didn't know what to do. George Lucas was out of the picture, but they somehow, I think, would bounce ideas still off him. It was everybody trying to figure, and too many kitchens in the cook. Too many cookies in the jar. Too many cooks in the kitchen is what happened, I believe. And it sucks because now I feel like everybody now has turned their back on Star Wars, and they really don't support it anymore. And anytime something new comes out, we automatically, I say we because sometimes I am, you just kind of roll your eyes like it's just another cash grab and it's not going to be great. Now, granted, there have been things people liked. People liked Andor. They liked Rogue One. I don't think anyone really liked Han Solo. Obi-Wan, people were hit and miss with it because him fighting Hayden Christensen again was really cool, I think, for some people. But the whole story of Obi-Wan was really bad with Leia, and it just ruined so much things, so much canon. It just really sucked. But we got Mandalorian, which was really, really good. I do think it's starting to drop off. I hope the movie fixes it. But Mandalorian was really, really good at first. And then we got Boba Fett, which I actually didn't mind as much. A lot of people I know hated it. It's just, I think more so people like Boba Fett being that mystery. We don't need to know more about him. And also the fact that he lived and crawled out of the Sarlacc pit. And people wanted that for years. And then it did happen. and people just resented it, and it's crazy to me because everyone wanted that, but I think it's maybe because the story that was told after it. But so anyways, in this 9, it's crazy how they set it all up, but I like that Rey is basically like this black suited Jedi, and it's like a message now in this story. So this one was the script that they were going with, I think, even after the horrible first 2, and they're trying to save it, and it seems like this one would have been like people's favorite out of the bunch.
But it fails completely. Right as everything is falling apart, a masked warrior arrives, cutting through the battlefield with a double-sided lightsaber. Fast, aggressive, and surgical, and we know that it's Rey. But she's different now. She's dressed in all black, she's wielding a lightsaber that's built from Anakin's broken weapon and her staff. When all of the civilians in these labor camps see her, they start chanting her name. They start chanting Jedi. She's become a symbol to these people, a myth, a living legend, but she hates it. With the mission now failed, they need to get the hell out of there, and they do something insane. They hijack an Eclipse-class Star Destroyer, bro. They manage to make off with it, fully escape, and turn it into a mobile resistance base loaded with old Imperial weapons.
That's actually really cool. I was gonna say with Rey, I don't want to talk over him too much because people hate that on videos. Rey, I think, was... People called her a Mary Sue a lot. I think she was a good idea. I really do. I think focusing it around a woman's fine. I'm not one of those guys that are like, oh, they're just doing it to be woke or whatever. I hate the word woke, by the way. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because now everything people say is woke. This is woke. This is woke. And it's like, I don't think you know what that means. It's very Indigo Matoya. But yeah, I don't mind that. And I know when they were doing the first drafts of the original one, it was always going to be a woman. A girl, I should say. A young woman. But I know Finn was not Finn. It was a white dude, and he was like going to be a Jedi at first, and then they went through different things with him, and then they eventually decided to be, escaped stormtrooper. And Poe was originally going to die in the opening movie. I don't know the opening, maybe even the opening scene. I don't know, but they originally had him as a black dude. He kind of looked like Samuel Jackson in the drawings. And then he was going to have like a Wookiee sidekick at a point, and they changed that. They scrapped that. Then they got the Poe we have now, and that's the one I believe was supposed to die. And then they said they liked Oscar Isaac so much, they kept him in the film just because they liked him, which I don't think we needed. We didn't really need Poe in that storyline. I think Oscar Isaac is a really cool actor. I love him in Moon Knight. But just because you like someone doesn't mean you have to keep them in the film, especially to change things around. I know Snoke was supposed to be a woman because they didn't want it to be, again, another wrinkly old man, but it's... I would have let the first one go out of the sequels if they fixed everything up. And Rian Johnson, he's a phenomenal writer when it comes to like all these Knives Out movies. They're great. They're really fun. How he dropped the ball on a Star Wars movie, I have no idea, but they were horrible. I don't get it. And they brought J.J. Abrams to try to fix it, and I think 9 just blew up even harder. And everyone asked me, like, do you hate them? I can't bring myself to say I hate them, because there is something about a little bit about stuff that it still touches me a little bit because it's Star Wars. I'm a bigger superhero guy more than anything. Superheroes are my thing, but Star Wars is always a cool big thing. I feel like that's been around in my life, but I'm not the type that's gonna like go to war for it like I would for superheroes. But I do understand how big it is, and I do understand how somewhat big it was in my life. Especially, oh my god, when Phantom Menace came out, dude, I was obsessed with Darth Maul. Obsessed. I'm dating myself here, but I think I was like 7th or 8th grade, and I just was so pumped for it. It did suck that he died, but I'm glad. In future stories, they used him a lot, and right now he's got his own series that is really good, so we'll probably talk about that another time, probably on the podcast. But it's just one of those things that, you know, unfortunately just fell apart, and it's ruining the Star Wars fan base, because now the Star Wars fan base is basically like, we're not going to like anything no more because you guys keep screwing it up. But they keep making stuff, and the problem is, one of these times they might make something good, but I think they just need to take a... After Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, I think that they need to take a long breath and redo things. But we already have Ryan Gosling in the new, like, what it's going to be like about pilots. I hate the pilot stuff. One of my least favorite things about Star Wars is ships, and everyone thinks I'm crazy for that, but that's just me. I like more of the ground stuff, the planets and all that, and different aliens and stuff like that. I hate the space wars and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I just think they need to take a deep breath and just look at everything and stop forcing everything out, because everything's coming out and it's like, even if stuff is good like Bad Batch and stuff like that, they're all overlapping in a weird way, and they're all like trying to make them connect, and it's getting almost to the point where it's getting nauseating on how things are supposed to be connecting, but at the same time you're making it more complicated in a way, even if it's good. So let's go a little bit further with this episode 9, and then we'll cut it off and talk a little bit more.
In tech. This is the first real shift in momentum they've had in years. The First Order responds with something way worse than a fleet, bro. They call in the Knights of Ren. They were not going to be these background characters anymore. They were going to be elite hunters tracking Rey throughout the galaxy using encrypted signals and force tracking methods, moving like dark side cultists somewhere between Sith and assassins and bounty hunters. The story from here shifts to Coruscant. It was going to be
a Kylo Ren comic, a prequel before the movie came out. It's a pretty good book. I don't know if I own the trade anymore. I might, as I think I just read it in comics. He basically is like a stray in a way after he leaves the Jedi Temple, and he's part of the Knights of Ren kind of, and he's like they pick on him. He's like their little, I don't know, their little coward of the group, and it kind of molds him more into like getting to where he wants to be, who he is now, where he's furious and angry, and it's like a good thing that plays into it, and I wish they really would touch on that, but the comic, I believe, came out way after, so who knows, they might have tried to fix some things and showed that. But the Knights of Ren were really freaking cool in that comic, and I think the plan of this was really good. They should have executed it better with the Knights of Ren, especially what their origin and how Kylo Ren had ties to
a major place in this film, but it's a horror version of what we once knew it as. It's been fully occupied by the First Order, it's decaying, it's layered with history collapsing in on itself. All the upper levels are controlled and militarized, polished for propaganda. But the lower levels of Coruscant, bro, it's chaos, poverty, resistance is brewing.
So I think that, I like that, those visuals of having in the final movie that there's almost like no hope, and showing that as like scenery would be huge, and we would love to see that rise by the end of the movie. But showing this grittiness was a good idea and turn that we could have took from the first two movies that they didn't have that and change it. But you know,
they're having public executions with like lightsaber guillotines. While all of this is going on, Kylo Ren is on Mustafar. He's entering Vader's abandoned castle, and he finds an ancient Sith holocron. Inside the holocron, he finds a message from Palpatine that was meant for Vader. The holocron tells Vader to take Luth to an ancient Sith planet of Remnicor. They're sent there to meet Tor Valum, a 7,000-year-old Sith master, the one who trained Darth Plagueis. But the holocron rejects Kylo. It blasts him with red force lightning, physically and mentally breaking him from the inside out. His body starts to actually decay. And in that moment, it's clear that he's not just Vader's successor, he is something else entirely. And this is the end of part 1.
So, again, Modern Mythos is the guy to go check out. He has 3 more videos of this. I can't remember if I watched all of them, but I know I remember watching this one a lot. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, this would have... It almost feels like it can't fit all in one movie. That's the only thing I worried about, because this is what made Kylo basically go full Vader, and I like that. And I like the holocron being brought in, and I like it tying to Palpatine. So we're getting all these things that tie together, but they're not forcing it where we have to have Palpatine actually come back and do things like that. Like a presence is there, and also revealing this other Sith, the one that trained I was going to say Sifo Dyas, but, you know, this big baddie that actually Kylo was just going to, I'm pretty sure what I read, he just wrecks him. And it's a pretty big deal, and kind of shows how big Kylo has turned into a big force and a big threat. Because I think in the movies, they never make him feel like Vader where he's like a threat. It's kind of like a wannabe feeling. And that's kind of a thing that just is bothersome, worrisome, I guess you could say. And they talk
Colin
about...
Trevorrow had already begun work on episode 9, titled Duel of the Fates.
Worked on this a lot before.
His script eventually leaked online, along with some striking concept art. It featured Rey and the other heroes searching for a device hidden in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant that could send a message to the wider galaxy. Kylo Ren starts the film learning from an ancient Sith master named Tor Valum, killing him, and dueling a vision of Darth Vader.
And see, that would be cool.
Finn and the other heroes lead a massive revolt on
really hate how
Coruscant,
much they
convincing
did
stormtroopers and citizens alike to fight
What
against
I hate
General.
too really about that is John Boyega is such a good actor. He has like now such a sour taste in his mouth of Star Wars and maybe even pop culture movies that we may not even see him in anything cool again that's like got a IP, you know, and that sucks because John Boyega, first thing I saw him in is Attack the Block, and I loved him. He was great in it, and it just sucks because now he has a bad taste in his mouth from being in Star Wars
In the First Order.
They ruined his character.
Leia, Lando, Chewbacca, and Rose all play larger roles in the story, eventually defeating the First Order as General Hux commits seppuku with
And
the
that's
lightsaber.
crazy that
In their
Hux
final
used
confrontation on the
his
Force
saber.
planet Mortis, Kylo
kill
defeats and
himself.
blinds Rey, but eventually sacrifices himself to
Yeah,
heal her from
supposedly
her
he
fatal
blinds
injuries.
Rey.
The film
He blinds Rey, and Rey covers her eyes. It's very why am I drawing a blank on him? From Rebels. Whatever. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank on him right now. And he fights her, and supposedly he starts draining the life force from he goes deep in his pockets, starts using some Sith power that he's never unlocked, and starts draining Rey's powers, and it starts healing his body. And he starts healing, but Leia, I guess, supposedly has been trying to reach him through this whole movie, finally does, of course, via Force, and ends up calming him down. I don't know how much I'd like that if it was just like a quick cop-out, like just to fix it all altogether. I don't know how much I'd like that if they went that route. It would maybe bug me. But I don't know. That's just what they said. Again, this script has leaked, so it most likely was the way they're going to go. I don't know how comfortable, like I said, I'd feel with him making that quick switch. I would like him to have like a mental debate kind of in his head for from the first Force Awakens on. He should have been with this power struggle instead of just throwing it in. Just like the movie, the last movie, they just rushed everyone's storyline so quick that if they planted those storylines early with Finn being Force sensitive, Poe being like a smuggler or something like that, they rushing through all these stories into that last movie. I'm like thinking, again, if you fixed it from the beginning, if you grabbed all these movies and were able to like move things around and switch it, you could have been telling a pretty interesting story of Finn being maybe Force sensitive and Poe having some background of being a smuggler and breaking the law and all kinds of stuff like that. There could have been really cool things they could have done with it, but it just sucks because I don't
ends
know.
with Finn, Rose, and Rey raising the next generation of Force-sensitive children in a new Jedi temple. But it was not to be. Lucasfilm had creative differences with Colin Trevorrow too, and they fired him shortly.
Basically,
As always, the fan reaction was calm and composed.
Rey Skywalker.
I don't like him though.
I think I'm done with Star Wars.
But that's basically what everyone turned into. And right here,
In the
video,
years since,
him
Disney
killing all the
continued
droids,
to
all that
cancel
movie,
or
Kevin
indefinitely
Feige,
postpone
Kevin
planned
Feige's
Star Wars
Lando,
films, shifting their focus to streaming shows on Disney
New Jedi
Plus.
Order.
It
All these
looks
were
like
supposed to
their
come out,
most
and they just
popular Disney Plus show will make the
but we
jump
still
to the
got
big
other
screen
videos.
to become the first Star Wars.
Mandalorian and Grogu makes it out somehow, some way. There's a lot of info out there about this. I would say if you're interested at all, I'm gonna keep digging, learning more about it. There's nothing we could do about it. That's the sad part. But it is cool to kind of read into like what the lore could have been. And also the original plans. Lucas had a whole different thing where, I believe it was just starting off with Luke training, I believe, a new Jedi. And I don't know how they're going to do it. I can't remember that story. If they were like going to just pick up off where Luke didn't go into, exile. And it's just a Luke story. But I think that's why they cut out Luke so much. I read in the ones that actually came out is Luke was written way more into it, and Mark Hamill was not happy about them cutting him out a lot. That they basically felt whenever he came in, he stole the show kind of in the script. And the other first two, because in the first one he was supposed to be found like meditating in like a cool moment and a hopeful moment instead of like Rey walking up handing the lightsaber shaking or whatever, which was, I guess that could have been a cool moment. I don't know. It's just so much mixed stuff going around with all this stuff because you want to have some nostalgia tack to it. And the Han Solo dying, it was like, I don't know. It's more so Harrison Ford hates playing the character. They even asked him, "Are you excited to watch the Han Solo movie?" He's like, "No." It's just weird to have someone that comes in just for the money, and you're like, "All right, I don't know. I can get behind this character. He doesn't care about playing this character." It doesn't bring it to life. You love when someone like Andrew Garfield like was crying when he talked about playing Spider-Man. You want someone that's like deep into their character and they really respect that IP character, address, IP address, intellectual property, that iconic character, wherever you're playing. You get to know them inside and out, and especially when you see the actors pick up the comics and they learn so much stuff. Like as far as superhero movies go, it's just really cool. But with Harrison Ford creating this huge character, he doesn't care, and I mean that's up to him. But it kind of sucks to have an actor come back and play him, and they're like, "Well, we'll let you get killed off," and he's like, "All right," he's fine with that, and it kind of just sucks. But again, this was all a lot of different plans. I don't know if Han was going to be back. Supposedly, I believe they were. If you read any of the books, again, those were really different. They had 2 kids, I believe. I want to say they eventually had 3, but you guys could correct me because I only read a few of the books. I know Chewbacca's nephew, Lobaka, was in it. I remember that much. I was really young when I read these. These were like middle school readings. But yeah, I didn't get too deep into the darker stuff. Everyone, like I have good friends that are really into a lot of the expanded universe, the darker stories. I did a lot of the comics, but far as like the books went, I was more in the lighthearted stuff because I was younger as a kid. I didn't follow the very complex stories of it. But yeah, it's just more so bringing light to this situation of like we're just at a point where Star Wars is kind of like a standstill, and it's like fans are torn up. I mean, we have Disneyland where it has people are crying when they walk into what is it called? Star Wars Land? Star Wars Galaxy. People are like losing it, because it's like your childhood feeling, and seeing it feels so real to them. And it sucks because people have this huge connection with Star Wars, and the fact that we got these sequels finally coming, we're like, oh my god, we're gonna get 7, 8, 9. This is gonna be such a cool thing, and for it to fall so flat, and to hear all these things coming out about number 9, it's just. I looked up, like I said, the original story for Star Wars 7. I have it queued in there. There was interesting things about it, but like I said, 9 was the main thing that people were really focused on because of the script and how they're going to end it. And I did feel like they were going to fix a lot of things. But I don't know. I just think the wrong people died. The wrong stories went to the wrong people. They didn't extend the stories. They didn't just do a very good job. And even Rian Johnson doing it really sucked because I enjoy his writing a lot. And the fact that he kind of dropped the ball on it really, really sucked. It all just wasn't fun. So again, I want you guys to dig deep. If anyone does watch stuff and they like Star Wars, look up more stuff. We could talk about more things, and even where it could go and where it's gonna go, because there's still rumors that they might connect more with Rey again. And look at Rey as a character kind of just got really dull, and it sucked, and people didn't like her anymore. And it was because like the Mary Sue thing. I don't know. It sucks because I think she could have been a really cool character. We did get some new characters, and they're okay, but no one really blew us away. Snoke was boring. Maz-Kanata was boring. I don't know. I think the only thing that really worked for people was the Mandalorian and Grogu, which is on the screen right now. And who knows? That movie may not do well because I think it's going to be the ending of it all. And where's Grogu at this whole time? This takes place before all that. Where's this little Yoda guy going? It's just weird. Like I said, they're all overlapping and messing up canon, but I don't know. That's what I have. That's what I was going to talk about today. Hopefully, I can learn more and talk about more about it. Or if anyone does ever watch this and they see stuff, they could bring it back up to me and we could go circle around some of these stories again. But yeah, so going back to OBS, shutting it off. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.